All right, so looking at the table that we've got here, this is pretty straightforward. So we are just going to try to import this table into a database table. So we have this label for a grammar, a rule, like a grammar rule, and then an example that applies to that rule. So I'm going to actually do this as two separate tables. So the way that that works is we'll come in here and just create a scratch pad. So we'll save this as scratchpad.rb. So our scratch pad, we will do like Rails. In fact, this is like shell. So let me do. So Rails generate model grammar rule. Do I want to namespace that? That's a good question. I'm going to say no. And then we'll have Rails generate model, and then we'll have an example. And I am going to say that an example is it's not a grammar example, it's just an example. And the reason I say that is there are going to be other places where we could potentially leverage these examples. So an example sentence also has words, right? So you could say that from this you can learn the word sore, or hon, doko. And we want to leave these sentences open to be leveraged in a number of ways. So I'm not going to namespace it as something like grammar related. I'm just going to say that we have a grammar rule, and I wonder if rule is the right way to describe that. Give me 2 seconds to think about this. Yeah, I'll call it a grammar rule. So we have the grammar rule, and I always kind of call these things name, even though, we'll just call it the name of the grammar rule, and then we'll use that as the label. And then as the example, we'll use text as well. In fact, why don't we call this label? No, I'm actually going to call that name. All right, and then an example, a grammar rule can have many examples, so that's going to necessitate a bridge table. So all right, so let's give it a shot here. All right. All right, so let's do resize this. Whoops. Resize this window. All right, so we've got our, and then we can say, for example, grammar rule create. And then we can have an example.create. All right, so we'll take a copy of that and take our example, which says, それは何ですか? 本はどこにありますか? And create the grammar rule. Oh, whoops. So grammar rule has many examples through grammar rule examples. And then likewise for example, very good. So we'll do, in our Scratchpad, we'll do find or create by, and that way it'll, when we do this reload, it will only load, it won't recreate that. It'll just select it out of the database because we already inserted it. So now we have, and you can see that because the ID is 1 on both of those. So let's add it. Now we've added it and it's inserted a grammar rule examples record. All right, so we've got that example. And now what we want to do is copy all of these things into the database via a CSV file. So we'll do that in a separate video.